Tagore Premanandi, Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhanta Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanandi. Can you free me from this and give me the other table? Om Agyantamandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manupistam Sthapanam Yena Bhuttale Swayambhupakaramayam Dadanti Swavadantikam Namam Vishnapadaya Keshavisa Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhavanityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome to our topic-related morning class. After the festival, everybody is a bit worn out. It was a pretty intense day yesterday, but very beautiful. So it was very nice. How long did the celebration go in the tent? Anybody knows? 11.
A little bit more.
Oh my goodness. Yes, okay. Yes. So I was requested to give 2 sessions on this topic of Grihastha Ashram, since we had 2 weddings yesterday. So yesterday, just to refresh our memory, or maybe for those who were not here, yesterday the main topic was the importance to stick to our word, our promise, our commitment. And we were presenting that in a culture where sense gratification is the all in all, our promise doesn't count. Sorry, something else came up. I changed my mind. It's not so enjoyable anymore as I thought it would be, so I make some other plans. That's the mood in a culture of sense gratification. But in a culture of self-realization, God consciousness, there the promise, the word, is of the utmost in age or something. And then a sannyasi visited their home. And it is the culture that the grihasthas are meant to give something in charity, whatever he wants, to please him, whatever he wants. So, and the sannyasi said, actually, I need an assistant. I want your son as an assistant. And Nitai's parents were, oh my God, they were in complete shock, and so pained in their heart. They just couldn't imagine living without their beloved Nitai. But still, they kept the promise. They were discussing and they were saying, well, we promised we will fulfill his desire. Whatever he wants, we give. So we can't say, oh, sorry, Maharaj, not that one. We can't fulfill that desire. Please, is there anything else you would like to have? Or maybe we can find some other boy in the village or something. No. That's the word of honor. And actually, Hadayoja, the father of Nityananda, he left his body in separation, So that's the mood. Once we give a promise, we rather give up our life than not following it, And I would say in married life, this is one of the, if not the most important thing, is actually that. Because life is full of unexpected surprises, and they're not always good. They're very often not so nice. So if we don't have this commitment, we can hardly even keep a marriage together. Yeah. This is why I chose this topic yesterday, because it is the very foundation, Yes. So how can I just say, no, sorry, I changed my mind or something? No, there's no room for this. Yeah. And unless we have that attitude, Krishna will test us. Yes. So unless we have that mood, and that's why divorce is so common now, because people don't have that mood. Because in a culture for sense gratification, it has no room, that mood. You know? You're seen as a loser. But you tolerate that nonsense, forget it. I walk out, I get divorced. You know, that's the cool and progressive attitude, but not the one where we stick to our word of honor. Yeah, so that was the topic yesterday. And we also touched about another really fundamental thing, the importance of mentorship. You know, if we are willing to accept guidance from somebody who is more experienced, from somebody who is our well-wishing friend, and we are willing to work on ourselves rather than always blame the other person, you know, then any challenge, any problem can be solved. Again, I mean, if we have these two things, that complete commitment and mentorship, you know, that we reveal our heart to somebody who we can trust and who can give us the tools and the medicines, you know. Yes. Yes, so I mean, that's really some of the really important secrets of success. Yeah. So now today we will choose a different topic. And just to save a bit of time, because today I do want to try and keep some time for questions, because yesterday we were a little under time pressure because we had to finish on the dot here and to prepare for the yagya. So yeah, just to save a bit of time, that's why we don't have the usual format of reading the verse and word for word and all that, you know. So yeah, because it's like a seminar, so we are stepping out of that usual format, but then from tomorrow on it's the usual thing again, you know. Yes, so I would like to read and discuss this verse from the 3rd canto, 23rd chapter, verse number 2. This is, the chapter is called Devahuti's Lamentation. So this is all about Kadama Muni and Devahuti. And they really teach us, what a good marriage is all about. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Rishvambenatma Sochena Koravena Damena Cha Suswasaya Suridena Vachamaduraya Chavo. And we skip the word for word just to speed it up a little bit. Translation. O Vidura, Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love, and with sweet words. So in this one sentence, there's already so many important points in there. So Srila Prabhupada gives the purport. Here 2 words are very significant. Devahuti served her husband in 2 ways, Vishrambena and Gauravena. These are 2 important processes in serving the husband or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's already interesting, that it's there with the Lord or with Krishna. It doesn't necessarily mean that husband has to be treated like the Lord, but no, it basically means in any intimate, loving relationship, we need these 2 important aspects, Gauravena and Vishwamvena. That's what it means. Vishwamvena means with intimacy, and Gauravena means with great reverence. The husband is a very intimate friend. Therefore, the wife must render service just like an intimate friend. And at the same time, she must understand that the husband is superior in position, and thus she must offer him all respect. A man's psychology and woman's psychology are different. As constituted by bodily frame, a man always wants to be superior to his wife, and a woman, as bodily constituted, is naturally inferior to her husband. Ooh, this is already a controversial statement. Thus, the natural instinct is that the husband wants to post himself as superior to the wife, and this must be observed. Even if there is some wrong on the part of the husband, the wife must tolerate it, and thus there will be no misunderstanding between husband and wife. Vishwamvena means with intimacy, but it must not be over familiarity that breeds contempt. According to the Vedic civilization, a wife cannot call her husband by name. In the present civilization, the wife calls her husband by name, but in Hindu civilization, she does not. Thus, the inferiority and superiority complexes are recognized. Damena cha, a wife has to learn to control herself even if there is a misunderstanding. Suridena vacha madhuraya means always desiring good for the husband and speaking to him with sweet words. A person becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world. Therefore, in his home life, he must be treated by his wife with sweet words. So there's a few things in this purport. There are quite a few aspects there. The main topic I would like to build around the importance of respect, because that again is such a fundamental thing. If there's respect there, then everything will be nice. Yes. But nevertheless, I do want to touch upon a few little things here, because some statements Prabhupada makes, throughout the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada makes so many heavy statements, and not so easy to accept them. Very often they provoke our false ego, right? Maybe for the ladies, you could experience that a little bit when you heard the purport, when Prabhupada says, by nature the husband wants to be superior and the wife has to accept this, and even if there's something wrong on the side of the husband, still she must tolerate. False ego doesn't like to hear these things, Good to realize it's the false ego which protests. The false ego, what? What's this? Oh, he also should be tolerant. So this is the false ego responding, being provoked. Yes. And let me share this. This was my realization of this year, actually. Unless we have unflinching faith in Prabhupada, so many statements in the Bhagavatam will be controversial, right? Yes. It shows that we have a lack of faith in Prabhupada. That's the root cause. Because, I mean, these days, you can hardly say anything without somebody thinking this is controversial, even though it's all in the Bhagavatam. And this really hit me this year, that I thought, yes, unflinching faith in Prabhupada. If we have this faith in Prabhupada, even though we may get a little agitated, we will simply park it and say, okay, Prabhupada said it. So there must be some reason why he says these things. I may not be in the situation to really accept it in my life. I may be not there yet. So let me just park it, and maybe in future, when I become a bit more purified, when I've done some more internal transformational work, maybe then I will understand it. So this requires humility also, plus faith in Prabhupada, But so often we seem to lack in these two things, humility and faith in Prabhupada. And then, oh, what is this? Prabhupada doesn't know the modern days, We have to adjust this. This is maybe in the Vedic times, but now times are different. And then we commit offenses to Prabhupada and also to those who maybe, have already a little bit more transformed and who can understand why Prabhupada says these things. So without faith in Prabhupada and some little bit of humility, there will be everything becomes controversial. But if we have faith, and especially all these statements centered around women, it took me so many years also, I remember in the beginning, I also couldn't understand it, but I was simply parking it, saying, okay, I'm not there yet to understand this, but Prabhupada said it. Why would he waste his time putting all these things in the Bhagavatam? And then gradually, because I've been involved in preaching in Bangladesh for over 20 years, that's where I gradually received some little transformation there. And that's where I learned over 25 years. I got these insights now. So I know how people feel when they've never spent time in spiritual culture. I'm German by nationality. So when I joined in Australia, in 85, I was the one who made all the revolutions, that the women can do this and the women can do that. And yes, I also come from that background, Yes, but then by Krishna's arrangement, I ended up preaching in Bangladesh, and that's where I learned all these things. And now I'm completely understanding why Prabhupada says these things, So this faith in Prabhupada, that his books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. And it means everywhere in the world. It means not only for India and Bangladesh and not for America or something. No, for the whole world. That's what it means, that it's transcendental. For the next 10,000 years. It doesn't mean that the law books have to be updated all the time and adjusted. No, that's what happened with the Bible and other scriptures. And that's why all the spiritual power got lost, because it got all watered down, So we don't want to make the same mistake with the Bhagavatam, Anyway, humility and faith in Krishna. Then there is no controversial topics actually in ISKCON. If we have the humility and faith in Krishna, and in Prabhupada, faith in Prabhupada, then nothing is controversial. Then we simply park those things which we can't quite understand yet and wait for later. Yes. Yeah, just as a little comment to these things. Yeah, but let me just very quickly respond, that where Prabhupada says, A man's psychology, woman's psychology are different. Yes, man-woman equality is on the level of the soul, but on the level of the body, completely different. And Prabhupada explains it so nicely that, by nature, a man wants to be superior. It's built in. Krishna gives him a stronger false ego, so he wants to be the number one. Yes, it's all Krishna's perfect system there. The men have a stronger false ego, definitely. And that motivates him to be the number one and take charge, So, and the superiority, see, in Krishna's system, superior, inferior means inferior does not mean she is not important. No, she is the power of inspiration. She is the Lakshmi Devi. Yes, Prabhupada says so nicely, man is meant to work hard, woman is the energy. Yeah. Woman's energy, much more powerful than man's energy. So these words does not mean that we devaluate a woman or something. No, she is the jewel, she is the princess, But because she needs to be protected, that's why woman's birth is a lower birth, But in the materialistic system, higher and lower means who enjoys more. The higher enjoys more, suppresses the lower, so their high and low has a completely different meaning. Yes. See, we are just so conditioned by all this materialistic worldviews, and then we get it all wrong, what Prabhupada says, So, and a man can only protect a woman if she is subordinate. Yes. Then he can protect, and he can nicely provide, and you can't protect a person who is higher than you, You have to be higher to protect. So a man should not misuse his superiority to exploit and suppress and torture or whatever. No, that's not the idea. He is meant to care and protect and buy all nice things and provide and all that, Yes, and also, very often we put a lot of emphasis on the wife that she must tolerate. Here also, Prabhupada says the wife must tolerate it. And yes, because we women are so powerful, if we do the right thing, then usually everything falls into place. So if she can't learn to tolerate, then she will complain, she will get angry, she will walk out, But saying this does not mean that the men don't have to cultivate tolerance. No, the men do too, It doesn't mean that they have the right to explode and scream and misbehave and throw things at her or something. No, a husband also has to tolerate. He has to tolerate, the wives. But sometimes we women get a little mental, and emotional. So a husband has to tolerate that and understand her nature and make her peaceful and happy and comfortable. So a husband also has to tolerate. Or very often, on my travels, I often live with grihastas, and they drive me to a program. So often it happens, husband sits in the car waiting, the wife is not ready yet. She still has to put the last little things on and all that. So the husband has to tolerate that, He can't get all angry and, what's this, where are you, and all this. So no, he also has to tolerate. Yeah, so family life. Perfect scenario to become tolerant, really, And when the children are there, the husband has to tolerate the screaming of the kids at night and all these things. So it's a great lesson to become more tolerant. Yes. Yeah, let me now, because it's already 8:30. So let me now maybe turn to the main topic of respect, because this is such a nice statement that the wife has to serve with intimacy and yet with great respect. Yeah. And if respect is not there, then intimacy leads to over-familiarity. Yeah. And over-familiarity means we take each other lightly and cheaply, and we say and do things which we would never say and do with another person, but it's my husband, it's my wife. So, and therefore, that intimacy is ruined. Yes. So, interesting to understand that a culture of sense gratification is always based on a culture of disrespect. Because sense gratification means you use others, not only human beings, even nature, trees, plants, whatever. You use everything for your enjoyment. You exploit everything and everybody for your enjoyment. And that we can only do if there's disrespect, right? Otherwise we would not dare to use other people for our gratification, even though it may be very subtle. The subtle gratification of just see, I know better, and that's actually envy also, to use any relationship to put the other person down in order to establish our superiority. This is envy. Yeah, and sometimes these things are very, very subtle, also in family life, in the marriage relationship, and so on. Yes. So this takes only place when there is not a very deep respect, setting the whole foundation to our family relationships or any relationships. So this is even with Guru also, yes, very easy. That's why Guru usually keeps us at a good distance, because very easily, when we get too close and so that's the whole point. This intimacy, unless it is based on respect, it turns into over-familiarity. And over-familiarity ruins every relationship completely. Yes. There's this nice story Shuddha Kirti Prabhu tells on the morning walk with Prabhupada. Prabhupada was always going very fast, so the young fellows could hardly keep up with him, and ladies were there too. And then sometimes Prabhupada would stop and speak something, make some remark or ask some question and so on. So everybody had to keep up with him, and then, Prabhupada was stopping. So once Shuddha Kirti Prabhu was bumping into Prabhupada and actually stepped on the back of Prabhupada's slipper, 1 foot, And then Prabhupada turned around and said to him, "Don't come too close." And Shuddha Kirti Prabhu interpreted that in 2 ways. Shuddha Kirti was traveling with Prabhupada as his personal servant. So, and he interpreted that in 2 ways. Physically, don't come too close, don't bump into me and step on my slipper there. But also in a literally, in a different way, Don't come too close, because otherwise you get over-familiar. And this can very easily happen. You imagine you massage Prabhupada and you're so intimate with him. So very easily, we can take this lightly and cheaply, and then we commit offenses and the whole relationship is ruined, So and married life is so prone to over-familiarity. It sneaks in, it's just like that. Any any relationship where we are very occasion is based on a culture of disrespect. Yeah. And that you can see in the modern days. The level of respect is reducing immensely. You know, when I was a kid here in Germany 60 years ago, you know, people were dealing differently with the elders, with the parents and all that, you know. But now, disrespect is taking over. And interestingly, it's also connected to the standard of life. The higher the standard of life is, the more the whole, you know, culture of enjoyment comes in, and that pushes spiritual culture aside, and proportionally the respect goes down. Whereas in countries where the standard of life is not so high, Eastern Europe, you can very clearly see there the respect, the level of respect in general is much higher, you know, much higher. Yeah. So that's not only between husband and wife, also towards parents. You know, parents are our elders. They are our seniors. Even if they eat meat and don't chant Hare Krishna, still they are our seniors. And we have to treat them with respect, which doesn't mean we follow whatever they say. Of course not. But we don't argue with them and we don't instruct them. And you don't do that with a senior, you know. But this understanding is completely lost. You know, these days the young folks, they scream at their parents and argue with them and sometimes even raise the fist and all this. My goodness, where are we, you know? I mean, in Vaishnava culture, this is unimaginable. You know, and my mother told me, I mean, she was born in 1930, you know, so that's almost 100 years ago. She's not around anymore. But she told me that in the more aristocratic families, in her childhood, the children were addressing the parents with your grace, euer Gnaden. Daily dealings, we are often very casual with each other, you know, very casual. Even towards Mahajas, you find this in the Western world. When we talk about a Maharaj, very often we drop the title, Swami Maharaj. Oh, did you hear Indradumna is coming? Pretty common thing in the Western world. Hey, what's that? It's Indradumna Maharaj. It's not just Indradumna, you know? But we kind of make a show that we all buddies with him, and yeah, hi, you know, hi Indradumna, good to see you again. You know, so we show off how close we are, you know. Yeah, but this is a showing off. This is disrespect, you know. Yes, yes. And this is what happens, that, you know, in materialistic culture, we actually have lost the deeper understanding of respect. And we think respect is making relationships, you know, formal and impersonal and not loving, you know. That's the misunderstanding, because we don't understand that true intimacy has to be based on respect. We don't understand this anymore, you know. Therefore, we throw the respect out of the window. No, let's be all chummy and buddies and you know. And then we invite our familiarity instead. And we think that to be intimacy, but it's not. It's over familiarity, you know. I mean, in America, I remember on my first tour around America a few years ago, I visited one place, I won't say where, and there was some Prabhupada disciples in the community, and one bhakta, he made some announcement. I can't even remember what it was, about transport to a Harinam or whatever. And that in that car, or whatever it was, I can't remember. He addressed them as you guys. Und ihr Kerle, oder wie übersetzt man das auf Deutsch? You guys. Ja, a very casual way, you guys. Ja, ihr Kerle. Ihr Kerle könnt in dem Auto fahren oder was. I was completely shocked. What? A Bhakta addresses Prabhupada disciples with you guys? Where the hell am I here? Yeah, I was completely shocked. But then later on the plane, when I flew to the next city, the flight attendant, when we were landing, was saying, yes, and I wish you guys a nice day in LA or wherever it was. So I thought, okay, so maybe here in America this is a sign of friendship and affection or something, to call people you guys. You know? It is so common in America, so common. But then somebody told me, in their office at work, it is forbidden to address anybody as you guys. So I thought, oh, thank God, somebody is realizing that this is a little inappropriate, you know, to talk about your superiors or even your employees or something. You know, it's not a way how to address anybody with you guys. You know, what is this? You know, but yeah, this is the mood in materialistic culture, that we try to cheaply create some sort of intimacy which is over familiarity, not intimacy. And this happens so much in married life, you know. Yes. And I guess this is, where did I put the Bhagavatam? This is why the whole purport finishes here, you know, that the wife should speak with sweet words to the husband. In the present civilization, the wife calls her husband by name, but in Hindu civilization, she does not. You know, according to the Vedic civilization, a wife cannot call her husband by name. So for us here, this may feel a little unusual and artificial or something, but no, it is simply the etiquette to help us maintain respect and to cultivate true intimacy based on respect and to guard our relationships from this over-familiarity. That's why these rules are there, you know, that in Vaishnava culture, a wife would not call her husband with all these nicknames, or honey and sweetie and whatever people say. I don't know. I'm a little disconnected, you know. But people come up with all these nicknames for each other, right? Thinking that this is an expression of intimacy and affection, right? But very easily it breeds contempt, as Prabhupada is saying, you know, this over-familiarity breeds contempt. So then we take each other lightly and cheaply and use each other to somehow establish our superiority and. So that's why it is recommended in Vaishnava culture that the wife calls the husband either Prabhu, or if she feels, oh, I'm calling every other man Prabhu, I want to have some special name for my husband, then it would be Pati is a common thing. You know, Pati means husband. Or in India, sometimes you come across it that people call their husband Swami, which actually means husband. Yes. You know, so that's a more respectful way. But just calling by name, but he calls her Devi, goddess. She is my goddess. Yes, and I'm meant to treat her like that, with respect also. So it's not only that the wife respects the husband, but no, the husband also has to respect the wife, of course. You know, she's the goddess, the Lakshmi Devi, the source of inspiration. the power of inspiration. So he better respect it, otherwise he doesn't have a source of inspiration, in his life, Yeah. So, and of course, ultimately, respect is based on a transcendental vision. If we see every living entity as spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, just being temporary in this body, that body, whatever body, but we are all spirit souls. There's Paramatma there. That living entity is dear to Krishna, to Prabhupada. So who are we to disrespect? Even as a preacher, you have to have respect for each and every person in your audience. Otherwise, why giving your energy and time here to trying to get something across? It's only possible if there's respect there. Yes. So, but this respect happens, naturally as our vision becomes more transcendental, as we see people more as spirit souls. But while we are not there yet, that's why we need the Vaishnava etiquette so much, to help us cultivate this respect, Yes. Yeah, so initially it may feel a little weird calling your wife Devi or your husband Pati or something, but it's just the mind. You get used to it. Yes. And then after a while of doing so, it becomes your natural thing, And I mean, the calling each other by name is not only between husband and wife, even amongst devotees, actually. Strictly speaking, we should not call each other just by name. It's always such and such Prabhu, such and such Mataji. In Vaishnava culture, in Vaishnava culture, mothers come straight after Krishna, comes mother. She's the backbone of the whole human society. So, and of course, in materialistic culture, mother is the lowest. She is the doormat. She is the poor slave who has to be at home and serve and can't enjoy life. So if we have that vision of mother, that understanding, then of course we would not like to call each other mother. But let's transform a little bit our visions, and our habits and understandings. We don't want to stay forever where we have been when we join. So we have to transform, and gradually, if we strive for that, then we understand and how natural and sweet and beautiful Vaishnava culture actually is. So of course, the husband does not call his wife Mataji. He calls every other woman Mataji, but not his wife. She is Devi. Yes, but otherwise, we should actually call each other Prabhu and Mataji to remind each other, also amongst the women, how we are meant to serve in the mood of mother, not necessarily physical mother. Even as a preacher, you can serve as mother. Yes, yes. And interestingly, according to Vaishnava culture, even a father will call his 2-year-old daughter Ma, mother. Yeah, that's the culture. Just to make her understand that she's meant to serve and act in the mood of mother. And it protects him also from child abuse. Yes, if he sees his daughter as mother, then hopefully he's not going to do anything he shouldn't be doing. So yeah, there's all deeper, subtle reasons to all these things, But now in the modern days, especially again in America, because, this mother is not a popular way of addressing the women. So now it's Devi. That we just call women Mitravinda Devi. But hey, no, or Devaki Devi. Now, the the Devaki and the Krishna's mother, she is the Devi, but I'm the Dasi. I'm not the Devi. So now to call women just Devi, Yamuna Devi, no, the personification of the river Yamuna, she is the Yamuna Devi. But whoever is called Yamuna, she is the Yamuna Devi Dasi. And the husband is the only person who calls his wife Devi. And nobody else calls a woman Devi. I mean, yeah, we're just getting it all wrong, Yeah, so what to do? Yeah, so in any case, but I did want to mention a few other little things. Just very briefly, 5 minutes. Or 3 minutes. So this whole story with Kadama Muni and Devahuti actually very nicely exemplifies the whole dynamics between husband and wife. Because Kadama Muni, let's remember, he was a very austere Muni, very austere, simple, he lived. But Devahuti, she was the princess of a royal palace, Swayambhuv Manu's daughter. She was used to opulence. But when she married him, she completely adjusted to his mood and she followed him to such extent she accepted so much tapasya and austerity, almost neglecting herself. Her hair got matted and her cloth, her thighs were torn and very austere. She tuned into her husband's mood and she tried to understand his mood and serve him. Yes. And then at some stage she said, before you leave, you have to give me a son. And to have a child, we need a little bit of enjoyable atmosphere. So please, you provide for that. So and what did Kadama Muni do? He created this whole flying mansion there. And they were floating around there for quite some time, enjoying. But then, once Kapila was a little, old enough there, he walked out. He took to renunciation. So it's a very nice example how when a wife really tunes into the mood of the husband and tries to understand his mood and serve him and please him, then she conquers his heart, because that's what Devahuti did. Kadama Muni is describing that he says, oh, she served me so nicely, she accepted all this tapasya, just living in a simple hut and neglecting herself, becoming all skinny, his heart was conquered. So then when she humbly voiced this, he said, yes, I have to fulfill her desire. She conquered my heart. So and then he responded like that, creating the whole luxury environment there, Yes. So, and there was sense gratification there, there was intimacy, physical intimacy, and of course, in former times it was clearly understood, after Grihastha life comes Vanapasta. So Vanapasta means no more sex life, no more, physical intimacy, and So I simply want to make this last point, that yes, married life is a conjugal relationship. There is affection, love, loving exchanges. There is physical intimacy there. It's part of it all. Sometimes we misunderstand things a bit. And I've heard this even from senior preachers. Yeah, no hugs, no kisses, it's all Maya. Subtle sex life, it leads to more, cannot be there. Oh my God. And there is a nice story with Prabhupada, where one brahmachari got married. And Prabhupada asked him, so how is your wife? Is she happy? And he said, no, Prabhupada, she's not so happy. And then Prabhupada said, you have to give her more affection. You must kiss her. Prabhupada's instruction, you must kiss her. Because Prabhupada could see he was still in his brahmachari mood there, and not understanding. So now he's got a wife, he has to hug and kiss her every day. So Prabhupada could sense it, pick it up. And that's why he gave him this instruction. He was completely blown away, completely shocked. What? Isn't that all Maya? No, it's a conjugal relationship. I'm going into all these details in the Family Life as an Ashram Secrets of Success book. Also in Krishna book we read how Rukmini is lying in Krishna's arms in bed, and then the rooster is crowing. And rooster crowing, Krishna was jumping out of bed, and getting ready and so, and how Rukmini was cursing the rooster. This rooster crowing. I wish he wouldn't crow, or at least half an hour later, so I can spend another half an hour with my husband in bed and embracing. So these stories are there, and in the purport there, Prabhupada says, yes, this is Krishna teaching that when the rooster is crowing, we have to get up, even though we may feel very comfortable in the embraces of our wife. Prabhupada says it all. So it's not that, this cannot be in married life or something. Let's be just a tiny little bit normal, just a tiny little bit. Yes, so it has to be there, it's part of it. But then the clear understanding is Vanaprastha, no more hugs and kisses. And it's very natural if we had 30 years of hugs and kisses in our married life, we naturally come to the point where we say, so it's enough now. We had enough hugs and kisses, no more need now, Yeah, it's very natural, Yes. Yeah, so good to understand these things in a balanced way. And there is also this nice purport where Prabhupada says, sense gratification is like salt. I will read it to you. I've got it here in my verse book. Sense gratification is like salt. One cannot take too much or too little, but one must take some salt in order to make one's foodstuff palatable. These conditions, the conditioned souls who have come to this material world, should utilize their senses according to the directions of the Vedic literature. Otherwise, they will be put into a more miserable condition of life. So some salt has to be there, not too much. That's the problem. Let me have a whole plate of salt. Salt is so nice. So and that's what we do with the sense gratification. Rather than understanding just a pinch is enough. No, I want a whole plate full of it. And then we get ourselves into a miserable condition. But the idea is, and this will be the last point I want to make, in the Bhagavatam again there is this nice analogy saying that when the farmer plows the field, he turns the soil upside down, and the seeds of the weeds come to the surface. But unless the seeds are completely burned out and uprooted, they will sprout again. And this is exactly what happens with our desire for sense gratification. So some sense gratification has to be there, but we have to burn out the seed for sense gratification by being fully in Krishna service, fully in Krishna consciousness, absorbed in Krishna service, serving Krishna and his devotees. that's what burns out the seeds for sense gratification. Even though we accept some sense gratification in our life, but if we parallel, really absorb ourselves in serving devotees and the Lord, then the seeds get burned out. And then they will not fructify again. That's the secret. You know? The secret is not to suppress the desires for sense gratification. No, we use them, we fulfill the senses' desires in that frame of Krishna conscious grihastha life. The seeds for sense enjoyment sprout up again and again and again. And that's why we see that devotees, even senior devotees, they get married a third time when they're 68, you know, because the seeds sprout up again, because they were not burned out during the first marriage, you know, the first family life. They were not burned out by fully, wholeheartedly being in Krishna consciousness, by arranging their family life as an ashram. You know, if it's truly an ashram, which is a whole different topic, you know, but again, it's all in the book. So if it's really an ashram, then the seeds for sense gratification will be burned out, even though you engage in all hugs and kisses and whatnot, you know. But it gets burned out through intense service, being really in Krishna consciousness, you know, in the association of senior devotees. So important. There's another statement where Prabhupada says, whoever thinks he can be, you know, distant from devotee association is in great hallucination. You know, we are hallucinating. If we think we can be Krishna conscious by living 2-3 hours away from the next temple, we are in an illusion. We are hallucinating. No, not possible. You know, we have to be an active part of a dynamic community, you know, and that gives so much opportunity for hearing, chanting, serving the devotees, getting guidance, and that's how we burn out the seeds, you know. Not by suppressing, oh, no hugs, no kisses, oh my God.
My question would be regarding...
This is not on your mic. But speak anyway.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, my question would be regarding the ashram situation. We see many times that new devotees come to the ashram enthusiastically, and they have great respect, especially in the beginning weeks or even, let's say, months or years. But then at some point, they really try to be superior, know it better than the others, the superiors. And yeah, we are really a little bit struggling how to prevent this. Maybe you have some advice how to not get to this situation.
Was that the topic you wanted to meet with me, with Munindra Gana?
This is another topic, yes.
Well, again, it's the respect, you know, loss of respect, over familiarity. Yeah, when we come in the beginning, everybody is like a pure saint, and, you know, we take it all in, and then we become over familiar with our situation, and we find faults, and it's the same thing. So again, that's why Vaishnava etiquette is there in so many daily things, that we let the seniors go first, they get first the gilang, or when we chant the shloka in the class, the seniors chant first, not the young bhakta chants first. So, you know, daily life is full of these rules of Vaishnava etiquette, you know, even things like we should only lead kirtan or do Prabhupada Guru Puja when we are invited, you know, and we should not invite ourselves, we should invite others, you know, Tulsi Aarti. We have to invite each other, you know, and not, oh, I'm going to do it, nobody else is taking off the socks, okay, let me do it. It's against Vaishnava etiquette completely, you know. So that, I mean, it's a whole big thing, but Vaishnava etiquette is our saving grace. You know, if we were all there spontaneously, that we are Trinada Pisanichina, we are more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant. Ego, whole book there, you know, it's full of Vaishnava etiquette. How to subdue the false ego, how to identify it, recognize it, and what to do to let go of it, you know. Yes. So, yeah, that's why we need the Vaishnava etiquette and culture. You know, it's not something only there in India in Vedic times and today it's all cool and modern. No, it's our saving grace, Vaishnava etiquette. Yes. Yes.
To the topic of respect. Hello. Yeah, I can completely confirm with your idea of respect, because I had a similar experience where even in India, for instance, even brothers are not allowed to call each other by their names. We have a formal way of treating each other, but I gave my brother the liberty to call me by my name. Because of modernity and all kinds of stuff.
Just continue.
But then I did realize that we lost this touch of respect, where when I saw other brothers, when they're addressing each other with their formal names. So where do we exactly draw this line, a balance between this informal relationship and the formal relationship with brothers, with husband and wife? Because I also had the same question, why does my mom not call my dad with his name? She calls him with the formal name.
Yes.
But I've never seen my mom or dad hugging each other or kissing each other. So where do we draw this balance?
Well, yeah, let me express that. Let me make that clear. The hugging and kissing is not in public, of course. Not at the temple and not in public. This is at home, you know. So I hope your parents were having such kind of closed doors, or when you were at school or whatever, you know. So, yeah. But you see, we have to get rid of this misconception that respect means formal, impersonal. No, it's not. You know? No, it's not. You know, we can call people, you know, in the respectful way. You know, I mean, in Russian language, the Russian-speaking devotees, even when they speak German, they always choose the Sie for a senior person. They would never call a senior person Du. They use the respectful way, but it doesn't mean the relationship is not intimate and not personal. No. That sets the foundation to true intimacy. That's the point, you know. Yes. I mean, in the book Sheltering Relationships, there's a whole chapter on culture of respect. Yeah. We don't have the time to go deeper into this, you know. But that's the crucial misunderstanding, misconception we have, that we think respect means no intimacy. You know, it's all formal. No, that creates the foundation to true intimacy. You know, I mean, with Guru, for example, with Guru we are meant to speak in a respectful way. I mean, here in Germany, devotees call their Guru with Du, you know, with the informal way. But my God, in Russia, Ukraine, people would never do that. You know, and some gurus, I know, they have said to their disciples, yeah, it's nice if you call me Sie. You know, they also understand this. So, even if you call your guru with the formal way of addressing the Sie, but still it's a very personal, intimate relationship. You know, that the intimacy is on opening your heart, sharing, revealing your mind in confidence. You know, that is shallow, you know, yeah. The true intimacy is very deep, you know, yes. That's true intimacy. Any question of the left from the lady's side? Yes, Mataji.
We were talking about the protection of the wife and the respect of the wife, and on the other side as well the commitment in general. And then I was thinking about the situation in the Bhagavad Gita where the Pandas and the Pandavas were gambling, and then Arjuna and the brothers, they already lost a lot of stuff, and then they saying, okay, you can have Draupadi. So I was just thinking what ways more, like the commitment in general, because it didn't seem, and that was one point which triggered me a lot in the Bhagavad Gita, that they say, okay, take Draupadi, and then they try to pull off her skirt, and okay, Krishna was there and saved her. How does that belong to?
Well, see, I guess we just simply have to understand it's a whole part of a bigger Leela, a bit bigger story, you know, so that the whole war comes about and this and that. So we can't just apply this to our daily life now or something, you know. Yes.
So this is actually part of the Leela from Krishna.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
Krishna's friends.
Yeah.
In the higher words. Okay.
Yeah. Best to see it like that. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for your kind attention. It may be the last opportunity for those who don't have the books yet to quickly come and see if there's anything that is of your interest. Because also yesterday quite a few people asked me, because it was several times announced that yes, I put if you just read this book and follow the steps, you know? Yes. So we have the saying, the perfection of any ability lies in passing it on to others. So that's why I wrote it, you know, it's to try and inspire others to take up the service of matchmaking, because it is so important, you know. If we just say, oh, you know, somebody will come up for this person, you know, Krishna will arrange. No, Krishna arranges through his instructions and recommendations how it should all happen, you know, because if we don't make some effort to help devotees settle in good marriages, then we will not be able to give stability to our families. And the Grihastha ashram is really the foundation to Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. So we have to bring stability in our family life, you know, and get rid of this high divorce rate. You know, sometimes people say, oh, it's Kali Yuga, there always will be divorce. But sorry, I'm not satisfied with this. You know, if we actually get more knowledge and understanding about the whole man-woman dynamics and how to enter and how to do things nicely, then we can bring about healthy and strong families. And that sets the very foundation to ISKCON, you know. So, and the matchmaking is just a huge, important part of the whole thing, you know. And then, of course, here, you know, the family life is an ashram secrets of success. So there's so many things. Whatever we discuss today, it's all in the book and in much more detail. So many things, my God. You know, that's the thickest book here out of all books. You know, so please, you know, take advantage of this knowledge that Prabhupada has given us and spread it. They make good gifts also if you have devotees who are struck. The power of inspiration to him, that I all explain in this book. This book has saved quite a few marriages. People write to me because my email address is in the book, and I get so much feedback where people say, oh, thank God I read this book. I have a few success stories where people just wanted to file the divorce, and then she got the book and she read it and okay, let's try again, and now they're happily married still. You know, yes, so we have to get deeper understanding into the whole dynamics, you know. We are far away from Krishna's system here in the West. And that's why we're facing so many social problems, you know. And as I mentioned, the mentorship, without mentorship, we cannot survive, because there will be always so many challenges, even if we are, you know, a perfect match astrologically, this, that, but still so many testing moments will come, and if we don't have somebody, a mentor, who guides us, you know. And for its ego, you know, that's, I mean, I once heard the statement, 30 years of Grihastha ashram, and you will be a pure devotee, by an initiating guru said that. So, but it has to be an ashram, not something else, because if it's an ashram, it really dissolves our false egos, you know. Yes, we have to do some internal work, you know, so there are so many tools, practical tools. It's not just high philosophy or something, but it's all very practical, you know. And then, as we said, if we enter married life without a clear understanding how to move on to the next phase, Vanaprastha, already failure, you know. Yes. So yes, so please, if you want to get any books, then let me know. Where are you from? Oh, you're from Bangladesh? Really? Which city? But where? Bangladesh. So you went to Swami-Bhāgavatam? Yes.